Rudy J, Rob Thompson, and RJ Ochoa. That's 3 R's. It's a welcome on, RJ. How's your morning going?
It is going well. I walked the jog. We came back. I have my cup of coffee. And, yeah, let's dance. Let's have a good day. But Rob, that sure looks sharp.
Well, thank you. I endeavor to dress for you, RJ. I want to look pretty for you.
We haven't talked since the Astros won. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Astros fan. And
I don't know why I'm congratulating you. You didn't have any hits, but, you know.
He played.
I mean, I had as many hits as Aaron Judge. I had as many hits as Bryce Harper in the all-important game. So yeah, I will take the congratulations. I will split the congratulations and pledge them.
We have some good Astros news for you fans. We're going to do a little hot stove action here in about 30 minutes. Some signings and maybe a Clayton Kershaw returning to the Arlington vicinity. But before we do that, the Cowboys are heading up to Green Bay. This is such a difficult game to peg, RJ. My mind says, my goodness, they're head and shoulders above them in just about every category except quarterback. And even then, I think they're well above them. Just before we start digging into the injury situation with Zeke and other stuff, how do you feel about the game? Are you feeling like we're poking a bear here?
Yeah, but you know what? I want the bear. Like I'm bring the bear. Like if you don't want to call it a bear, then what do you like? What gets you up in the morning? You know what I mean? This is a bear. Like this is you guys. Look, I mean, is it it's a 3-6 bear? Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a trap game, whatever.
But it's still a bear.
That all remains true. It's a bear, and it's ironic because that's like the team they hate the most, right? But this is the team that we hate the most, that I hate the most. You congratulated me on the Astros. Like I have spent many a sports day sad and somber and morose because of this team. This is our big brother. This is a team that lives rent free in my mind. When people run down the hall and flick the lights on because they're scared of whatever monster that their grandmothers told them about, I'm scared of Aaron Rodgers. That's why I run down the hall and flick the light on. And what's more is this is the team, and specifically this is the quarterback who dragged Mike McCarthy, who controlled the narrative, who made him out to be some oaf and made him out to be some dude who was unqualified and who was absolutely carried by them. And time has rewritten that story. And nobody wants to acknowledge that because Aaron Rodgers is so much cooler than Mike McCarthy. And so it's like, well, yeah, but whatever, water under the bridge. No, Aaron Rodgers took every opportunity he could to bury Mike McCarthy. Everyone said if it weren't for Mike McCarthy, Aaron would have so many more Super Bowls. Where are they? I'm waiting to see them. Like, where are they? So I want this one very, very, very badly. It is a bear. I don't care if it's cuddly. I don't care if it's grizzly. It is a bear, and I want the mount. I want
needed
the rug
this.
On the floor mount.
I needed this, RJ. Thank you.
See, this is social media 101. Like you got two men that have buried the hatchet, let bygones be bygones, and the RJ Ochoas come through with a can of gasoline. And like, no, we're not going to just forget about this. That's fine. I like it. I like a storyline over integrity. That's what we live by here. Now, let me ask you this, RJ. If you were number 88, how would you feel about all the Odell love that's being thrown around in the Cowboys locker room?
Which 88?
CD.
Okay.
CD. Yeah. CD. Sorry.
No, I mean, I know two other 88s kind of happy about
I know.
it.
Well, I mean, Rudy, I think that's, an R calling the RR. I mean, you're over here saying I'm the one trying to create a storyline.
You know what?
I mean, I don't see how there's any issue. I mean,
what do you mean? Receivers are sensitive, RJ.
Do you think that Trey Mancini cares that he had one hit in the World Series? Do you think that at all? Or do you think he's like, hey, dude, I got this ring. I got this title. I'm good to go.
You're right.
Do you think CD cares that, like, oh, man, if Odell comes here, I'm going to average 93 yards a game instead of 101. I'm not going to have a touchdown every game. And
I don't know. I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
Odell helps you. I mean, if you're
okay,
this is a team game, right? Rising tide lifts all boats. All due respect. I don't look. I've been very pro Cowboys here. The three of us, right? Rob is Michael Gallup. All right. You're CeeDee Lamb. Would you rather me be Noah Brown or Odell Beckham Jr.? Like who would you rather me be?
I got a different personality, RJ. I would want you to be Odell, but I want to win. I'm not saying CD doesn't.
I mean, everybody does. I think that's what's been so interesting about how vocal they've been. I mean, they're almost begging for him. I can't remember a time when they were like this.
That's what Rob said this morning.
Where do you think that comes from? Does it come from the comfort of knowing if we don't get him, it ain't the end of the world? So we can act like this, and if he doesn't show up, hell, I got my guys. So, or is it in the rooms they're going, we're Odell away from truly being a Super Bowl contender?
I think it could be misconstrued as arrogance, right? I think a lot of people can say like, oh, you think whatever. I think it's the like highest act of humility, right? Like, hey, dude, we need you. Like, it's an acknowledgement. We need you. And that's not like multiple things can be true. It doesn't have to be we need you because CD sucks. We need you to help everybody. We got a lot of pie here. We're willing to divvy up the slices, but we need more people to eat it all. Speaking as somebody who once had a gift card for a lot of money at one restaurant, it was very difficult to get through that by myself. I needed the Odells of the world to come in to help me out. And so I think it stems from a place of them, A, sort of believing it's going to happen, B, trying to manifest it, and C, I mean, like, who's the dog on that? And I'm not the dog, but like, who's the guy who's been there and done that? Like, Odell was on the Rams for half of the season, but he's done it, right? Like, he's done it. He has what they want. I loved 2 years ago the signing of Gerald McCoy. Granted, he didn't have a Super Bowl, but I thought, like, man, that was the dude who they needed. They needed somebody who had kind of seen what the NFL could offer. And this is a guy who, I mean, like, half the dudes, look, Odell's 30 years old, which isn't old, but, I mean, half these dudes were in college or high school when he had his catch 8 years ago. So this is a superstar that you inject into the locker room. I think everybody's a big fan of his. And so I think they want it. They know they're close. They know you can help them. They know he did it to the Rams, so they kind of putting the match together themselves.
We'll fireball a couple, RJ. You don't get to this level not being arrogant and cocky. But it's a different level of arrogant and cocky when you tell the team, I'm so good, y'all need me even though I shouldn't be playing. And I'm speaking of Zeke Elliott. Like, he clearly shouldn't be playing. Like, if it's like, oh, well, we'll see, and it might be a knee brace and this and that. Like, dude, get healthy, come back. This is a good football team. But when you're walking around like, hey, yeah, even though I'm only 60%, I need to get out there. That's a different level of arrogance and cockiness to me. I don't know where you stand on that.
I think there's some political games happening, some positing happening. Mike McCarthy is somebody who believes in you can't tell them what you're gonna do.
Right.
Like you can have a dude who shattered every bone in his body, and Mike McCarthy's like, I don't know, we got to do a injury report set. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's like
that. Just because he really believes, like, I'm not going to give that. That's a bit of an old school thing, but I'm not going to give any advantage. And so I think there's some gamesmanship there. I think I don't put it past Zeke, even if he knew he wasn't going to play, to just kind of say this, keep the Packers on their toes.
Okay.
That's a really like low hanging fruit way to look at this, but that's how they are. They have been like this notoriously with so many different injuries in the past. I'm fine if Zeke plays. I'm fine if he doesn't. I really do think I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt to make the decision on his own, because I trust the Cowboys to utilize Tony Pollard enough to keep both of them fresh.
It's been 20 games since Zeke's had 100 yards. It's the longest streak of his career. And that's on the heels of Pollard going for 131 and 3 rush TDs starting in place of Elliott in week 8.
That's a hell of a stat. I didn't know it's been that long.
Well, I think
doesn't mean he hasn't been productive though. It could be, that's a weird stat. That it kind of makes it seem like, well, you ain't really done anything if you haven't got a 100-yard game. I don't know how true that is though.
The Cowboys are 2-0. Oh, go ahead. I was going to say that.
Well, I was just going to go ahead, Rob. Go ahead.
Well, speaking to the offense, they're 2-0, 36.5 points a game with Dak there. How much of that offense was part of Zeke too? I'm trying to figure out if they can just move on without, and just when you're healthy, we need you to come on back then, or is he necessary for that 131 for Pollard and the 36.5 points a game that they're getting? I mean, how much of a role does he play in the totality of that offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a part of it. Rather, he's a part of the function. I don't think he's the straw that stirs the drink.
Lesser than it's been.
Right. That comment really aged poorly from Steve Jones. But yeah, I mean, I think he's a part of the recipe, right? But you ever, Rob, you cook a lot. I'm not saying this is Zeke, but if you're like, well, I got the seasoned salt, I got the slap your mom or whatever. Oh man, I don't have the oregano leaves. Like the meal doesn't fall apart because you don't have the oregano leaves. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty good oregano.
And so I'm not trying to say that's what Zeke is. But like right now, the way they're functioning, they can survive without one flavor, without one seasoning.
I agree.
Even though Zeke is a powerful and stout one in and of his own right.
I agree.
He is RJ Ochoa. He writes and edits Blogging the Boys. If you're not a Cowboy fan, well, you can't prove it by not going there. Go the double negative there. Talking about the relationship with McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers, the relationship with McCarthy and the Green Bay fandom. He spoke to it, and we saw him get really kind of choked up on Monday. Was it Monday or Tuesday?
Tuesday.
How much of this is about the team going and getting one for McCarthy?
I mean, I think they're saying all the right things, right? Like, it's just another game. You don't want to make too much of it. But that's what I'm saying. Like, make all of it. I mean, like, lean into it. And I think they low-key did that against Atlanta last year when Dan Quinn got to play them for the first time. And they, he was fired mid-season too, but they ended on such, better terms. Like, again, I do think this is different. Like, and that was at AT&T Stadium. This is no disrespect to what is it, Mercedes-Benz Dome,
whatever it is.
It ain't Lambeau. It ain't Lambeau.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is professional football's holiest cathedral. Mike McCarthy will ride in on the charter on a street named after him because he brought the title back to Titletown. The way the Cowboys are America's team, there's one Titletown. It's Green Bay, Wisconsin. And so it's different. And I do think enough time has passed, and I think enough humble pie has been consumed by Packers fans lately to the point that they're going to be more grateful than they would have been had the Cowboys visited in, say, 2020 or last year. And I think that a lot of Packers fans are probably willing to say, you know what? Aaron might not have been the easiest person to work with. Maybe that was a bit of a chore on you, Mike McCarthy. That was probably a difficult thing. But I don't know how you can't, there's so much history with just the Packers. And obviously the common denominators between McCarthy's Packers and the Cowboys, Des Cotted, the challenge, Jared Cook, the fact that he came back and beat them with Matt Flynn. I mean, this is, we call this a rivalry. The Cowboys have won 2 games at Lambeau Field, all time, 2 single games, twice.
Of all time?
Of all time, yeah.
They've only won there 2 times, and one of them was authored by Dak Prescott.
Then that's not a rivalry.
In 2008. Well, I mean, it's Brett Favre never won at Texas Stadium. Let's be very clear here. It's been a,
Look, RJ didn't like that. He was like, hold on now, Rudy.
Bear fan chose violence real quick.
Hey, man, who wins?
Yeah, who wins?
I think the Cowboys win, and I think so many Cowboys fans are so haunted by Aaron Rodgers, and for understandable reasons. Rudy, you would know that better than us. But I would just I
own you. I own you.
Call it what it is. Like, it is an opportunity for revenge, for vindication, for whatever. And something that has just been in my mind all week long. The Packers fired Mike McCarthy after their 7th loss of the season in 2018. That was the last time the Packers lost at least 7 games in a year. Mike McCarthy and his Dallas Cowboys can hand the Packers their 7th loss of the season on Sunday afternoon at Lambeau Field. And that's like,
I like it.
Be a savage. Like, be a savage. Go rip their throat out. Like, quit it with this. Like, cool, dude. Shake their hand, but then bury them and walk away after you pillage the entire village.
It's been a long time since we've seen that. He is RJ Ochoa. He's got to go off to pillage. Take control of Blogging the Boys. Always a pleasure, RJ.
One love. I hope you both eat a scone today.
Let's go have a fine scone. RJ Ochoa.